What's up, fiends? Lucard here, and today we're taking a look at the new mystery thriller that's been making the rounds on the cinema circuit, The Daughters of the Domino, from 2025. And first off, I'd like to thank Fosca Features for sending me a copy to watch and review for you guys. I am expecting pretty big things from them, so keep an eye out. So this movie mixes mystery, thriller, family drama, and just this little Scotia horror to keep things interesting. So is The Daughters of the Domino worth seeking out? Let's find out. The Daughters of the Domino is directed, co-written, and executive produced by Jesse McAnally, probably best known for being part of the Musicals with Cheese podcast. This is his feature film debut after making a number of short films. And this film stars Miranda Moffat, Lucy Gillespie, Ashley Poulin, Asia Hicks, and Tony Semenick. The story centers around a rather quirky private investigator named Nina Rose. And just to clarify, yes, her name is Nina, not Nina. Nina is a fascinating character right from the beginning. She's covered in scars, but exactly where those scars came from is never explained. And then there's her family history. Nina's father was a serial killer responsible for murdering 13 people. He became known as the Domino Killer. So not exactly the kind of family legacy you'd want to put on a Christmas card. Nina's sister, Laura Sutcliffe, has become estranged from her. Now, while Nina doesn't really have a relationship with Laura anymore, she has remained in contact with Laura's daughter, Jules. And Jules has just turned 18. Meanwhile, a schoolgirl is stalked and murdered by a man who has the infamous domino tattoo on his wrist. So naturally, the question becomes, has the Domino Killer's legacy returned? And if so, who's behind it? So Jules and her best friend Frankie decide to go to a concert. Laura, being the overprotective and rather overbearing mother that she isn't exactly thrilled by this. But the tickets were a gift from Nina, so the girls head off to the concert anyway. And that's where things take a very dark turn. Jules and Frankie are attacked and kidnapped, and with her daughter missing, Laura has very few options. So the person she ultimately turns to is the last person she probably wants to ask for help, her estranged sister Nina. So now Nina has to use her investigative skills to find the girls and figure out exactly what's going on. So what works? One of the biggest strengths of the movie is the main cast. The acting is fantastic, particularly Miranda Moffat and Lucy Gillespie as Nina and Laura, respectively. They really sell their characters and give the story an emotional foundation that helps carry the movie through some of these slower moments. And speaking of these slower moments, The Daughters of the Domino can be a little slow at times. There are definitely moments where the pacing drags a bit, and I find myself wishing the movie would move things along just a tiny bit. Some of the supporting performances also aren't quite as strong as those of the main cast. They're not exactly terrible, but there's a noticeable difference between the leads and some of the supporting players. So those are definitely a couple of things to keep in mind. But what about the horror? Now, if you're coming into The Daughters of the Darkness expecting a blood-soaked horror movie, you're probably going to be disappointed. There are certainly horror elements, but this is primarily a mystery thriller. And there's nothing particularly graphic about the violence. So if you're looking for gore, blood, and buckets of viscera, you're not really going to get that here. But personally, I don't think that's a problem. The movie is much more interested in the mystery and the characters than it is trying to shock you with graphic violence. Now, another major positive is the cinematography from Sean Snyder. This movie looks really great. The cinematography helps establish the atmosphere and gives the film a polished appearance that works particularly well with the darker elements of the story. It's one of those movies where you can tell that some real care went into how the individual scenes were presented. I also really appreciated the humorous moments sprinkled throughout the movie because the story can get pretty dark. These moments of humor really help lighten the mood without completely derailing the movie. And I think that's important. You've got murder, kidnapping, a notorious serial killer, family dysfunction. So every now and then, it's nice to have something that makes you smile. Ultimately, The Daughters of the Domino has a fairly simple story, but simple doesn't necessarily mean bad. In this case, I found the story compelling enough to keep me interested. The mystery works, the main cast is excellent, cinematography is quite strong, and there's enough humor and character development to keep the movie from becoming too heavy. Yeah, the pacing and supporting actors could tighten up a little bit, but as a mystery thriller with some horror elements thrown in, I think The Daughters of the Domino really succeeds. So what do I give The Daughters of the Domino? I'm going to give it 8 bats out of 10. It's a super solid mystery thriller, and if you have the opportunity to see it while it's making its way around the cinema circuit, I'd say it's definitely worth checking out. And as soon as I hear anything about a physical media release or a streaming release, I'll put that info down below in the description below. And that's going to do it for this review. If you've seen The Daughters of the Domino, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Did the mystery part work for you? And who do you think gave the best performance? As always, thanks for watching, and remember, Detective Rose always knows. Until next time, adios, Bella Lugosi.